Hello, Sagittarians. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. And for those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very, very much. This is your November 2020 Tarot forecast for the month of November. This is for all people with either a Sagittarius sun, moon, or rising. If it turns into a love reading, it could be people with a Sagittarius Venus, but generally it's for sun, moon, and rising. If you are not a Sagittarian, but you are sweet on one or, looking out for one, you're more than welcome to cross-watch. I highly appreciate that. Please hit the thumbs up if you like the video at the end. I greatly appreciate that. And subscribe to the channel if it's something that you feel inclined to do. And let's get into what's going on for the Sages. If anything doesn't fit, that's okay. Don't worry. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with your month of November. It just means you might be working on something different than what the majority of viewers may be experiencing. Alright, so let's see. This first card, I've decided to use a card from the Messages from the Guides deck from James Van Praagh. I decided for November I'm going to go with more sort of other side cards. It's like messages from the other side for us as like sort of themes or markers for the month, things we want them to stay focused on. So what does Sag need to know? Take responsibility for your actions. Okay, Sag. Wow, and that's kind of, I feel like Spirit might be calling my Sages out a little bit. What I do want to say about this card is I don't think that, it feels a little bit like a call out, but in some ways, what I do like about this is I love the color of the background with the green and then this sort of golden color. To me, I feel like there's a truth in that green, there's a healing in that green. If we are taking responsibility for our actions in the month of November, we will actually get some benefit from the actual doing of that, if that makes sense. Others might also reap that benefit too, is a feeling that I'm getting. Sag, I know that you guys are freewheelers, big thinkers, kind of expansive souls. You guys like to not be sort of tethered to anything in any way, shape, or form. This idea of taking responsibility for your actions could be a little bit of a difficult one for some of you Sages, but I think in the end what it does is it grounds you a little bit, it heals you a little bit. It also kind of, my feeling is that it gives you a little bit of empowerment, a little bit more than what you're normally used to in a sense, because if you can back up everything that you do in the month of November, take responsibility for it, it just empowers you more to move on through the rest of the year. Does that make sense? So don't look at, don't, like, try it, how do I want to say this? Like, try not to fear getting pinned down or stuck or, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this card. All right, so let me see what's going on in the tarot cards. Let's see here. What does Sag need to know? Sun, Moon, and Rising for November of 2020. For those of you that don't know, I do have a Patreon page. I have put up some voting polls for the decks for next year. If you're interested in getting a subscription to my Patreon page, you can go to patreon.com, check out Engelgeist, and you can actually have a voice in what decks we'll be using for next year's Tarotscopes for all 12 months. So, but you do have to subscribe, support the channel if you feel so inclined. And if you do enjoy this video, please, again, share it with other Sages. Share it out wherever you think people would enjoy it or gain something from it. And please hit the thumbs up button when you're done watching. Alright, so let's see. What do my Sages need to know? Come on, Sag. What do we need to take? Why do we need to take responsibility for our actions in the month of November? Okay. So this first card kind of tells me sort of where the Sages are centered at in the month of November, right? It's also not only, you're not there the entire month. You kind of go in and out of this vibe the whole month, right? It will also give me insight into what you could potentially be creating for the future, because what we're sort of running on now is what we're potentially creating for the future. All right, so this is the Eight of Pentacles. This is a good card. It's a grounded card. It's sort of the opposite of Sag's energy, but I feel like with the Eight of Pentacles, it's through like detail, hard work, sort of a methodical energy. And also this could be also lining up with this taking responsibility for your actions in the sense of really looking at the smaller details, taking things step by step, really backing up and grounding in what you believe to be true. Eights are all about balance this month, right? So November might be about maintaining balance, keeping it grounded, keeping it cute, like keeping it moving, right? It's a little bit slower of a pace than maybe Sag likes. Sag tends to be, because you guys are fire, you tend to like to take action and maybe move more quickly. This might be a little bit slower of a pace, but what we're doing is we're picking up the details. And also, like I said, this green color is really drawing my attention. I feel like there is a healing that takes place this month for you guys. Whether it's a reinstilling of your faith in yourself or your faith in whatever it is you're working towards, whatever it is you're creating, this Eight of Pentacles speaks to that idea of being balanced and like practical, you know, as you move towards whatever the goal is, right? It feels very, what's the word I want to say? Like, I guess well-rounded is the energy that I kind of get. It's like seeing the task at hand, taking it bit by bit, really owning up to it, really pursuing it with a level head and moving forward with that energy, okay? It may not be as fast and furious as you guys might like, or, you know, it might feel a little bit on the slow side, but with that slowness, there's like a sort of, I hate the word perfection because I don't believe perfection exists, but I do believe that there is moments here through this Eight of Pentacles energy to really pay attention to what we're doing, take full responsibility for it, and create something really beautiful in the end. All right, so let's see what else comes out in these cards. The next card is the Foundation. This tells me sort of what was going on in the past. It sort of led us to this point. It also, sometimes the memory of this card can be what holds things in place or could be driving our actions in the now, right? So let's see what we've got here. Okay, hey Tower. Tower's not necessarily the best card to have as our foundation, but I feel like this is the gig here, Sag, and this is also part of this taking responsibility for your actions. The Tower is usually the thing that we kind of needed to change. We knew we needed to change it. We maybe didn't deal with it. We saw it coming. We might have even intuited it coming. We knew it was a problem and we didn't sort of deal with it. And now it's kind of like become this thing where it's taking care of itself. It's removing us in a way. This would be in the past, right? So this would be sort of I'm just using these as examples. The loss of a job, the loss of a really important relationship, the death of, you know, a loved one. It can be something that we expected to be around for a really long time and it didn't necessarily hold true. And what it did is it shook us up. The one good thing about the Tower is the Tower is always kind of like that opportunity for God or the universe to do for us what we were unwilling to do for ourselves. Does that make sense? So in essence, we might have been a little bit comfortable where we were in said job or relationship or whatever, and this moment sort of shook things up, right? Where it's led us to, though, and what I like about this is being the Foundation card, is that you don't really want to see the Tower as the foundation, but when I'm looking at this, it speaks to this idea that, okay, so Sag is wiser, they're smarter, they've learned from this loss, and they're also being more practical with that Eight of Pentacles energy in the center through the month of November. This is also what's leading them to take responsibility for the actions, right? So that maybe they don't end up in a situation again where it's similar, where things could sort of fall apart or the rug could be slipped out from under them. Sag is sort of, to me, feels a little bit wiser. I remember last month you guys had a knockout month, if I remember correctly. So this is interesting because to me, this doesn't feel bad. It just feels like after the great month that I think was predicted last month for October for Sag, to me, this feels like you guys are being a little bit more, how do I want to say, like, that Eight of Pentacles and that take responsibility for your actions, there's a little bit more seriousness, there's a little bit less, there's a little bit more of an emphasis on past mistakes with this Tower and the Foundation. And it's not our mistakes necessarily, it's just things that maybe went off course that we didn't see coming or that we didn't expect to kind of change in the way that they did. So we're being more practical, we're being more honest with ourselves, and this is also, again, leading to this green sort of healing and understanding within ourselves of where we need to do, what we need to do so that we can continue to move on and create something that's more stable than things that we've experienced in the past. Does that make sense? All right. So the next card is the higher self or soul card. This card tells me a bit about where your higher self or soul is at. And this is, oh, get it? The World. So this is the final card of the Major Arcana. I couldn't even think of that. We have all the different 4 elements listed here in the 4 corners of the card. The World is sort of a completion of cycles and the beginnings of something new. To me, this looks like your spirit is definitely calling for that right now. Like, okay, Sag, let's wrap this up. Let's start to get serious. Let's put our nose to the grindstone. That's that 8 of Pentacles in the center there. That's the Tower down below. When we're surrounded in that 8 of Pentacles, which feels like a very balanced and grounded energy, we've got these 2 pretty heady Major Arcana below us and above us. Kind of, they're also having an influence to a certain degree, right? Our spirit wants us to realize that we can have whatever it is we want. That's sort of what the World is about. The World is the end of a journey, the experience of all of that, the accumulation of the knowledge of all of that, and the sort of gifts and graces that come with that, right? But it also signifies the sort of beginning of the next chapter, right? We start the journey of the Major Arcana all over again with the Fool. So, to me, I feel like this is the spirit of Sag kind of calling in and saying, okay, we're done. We've learned. We had the rug pulled out, right? We've sort of recovered, or we're in the process of recovering, but we really need to be true to like what we need. And that's also some of this take responsibility for your actions. It's this idea of being honest with ourselves. Are we maybe still even involved in something that's no longer working, right? And that could be the Tower card still kind of having that effect. Are we involved in something that needs to kind of come to an end, or that we need to come to terms with it and start working in a practical way towards maybe new goals or better balance in the month of November? All right, let's look at the outside influences. These are 2 cards that represent as things that are affecting us from outside. They can be people, events, sometimes things more vague like belief systems or energies that are having an effect on us throughout the month of November. They can be either positive or negative. Okay, you are not messing around, Sag. So we have the Empress. For those of you with Sagittarius Venus, you may want to pay attention because the Empress is associated with the planet of Venus. She's also associated with sort of like the divine feminine. She can be about fertility, rebirth, definitely about love with the planet of Venus there. Also the sign of Taurus. I like that she's here. I feel like she's bringing in something new. I feel like the energy of the Empress, whether it's through the idea of love and that planetary Venus-Taurus like earthbound connection, right? And I say that like because of Venus and Taurus is an earth sign, but I'm looking at Sag's 8 of Pentacles in the center there, and I'm thinking of how Empress represents sort of Venus in the sign of Taurus, and Taurus is earth, right? To me, this looks like Sag is getting practical, or some of my Sages, maybe not all of you, but some of you guys are getting practical about what your desires are, what your loves are in a material way. Then this could mean, when I say material, it could be relationships, it could also be, you know, money or jobs, things like that. What drives us? What do we love? What brings us more balance? How do we go about getting that? What steps do we need to take in the month of November? Where do we need to take responsibility and really pay attention to our actions and move forward? Closing chapters and letting kind of the heartache of the past or the disruptions of the past not necessarily temper our decisions, right? The Empress is always a very, to me in my mind, she represents like rebirth, fertility, the sort of earth mother goddess, right? She'll give us whatever it is that we want, right? As long as we're sort of, you know, in that kind of love, Taurian sort of, willing to do the work, willing to put in the effort, willing to put in the time and energy. She will bring us sort of all of that abundance and beauty and fertility and all of that sort of stuff. And I like that this 8 of Pentacles sits in the center because it says to me the Sages are willing to do the work, right? You guys are willing to take the responsibility and take on maybe the, for some of you, this responsibility might be taking on this sort of the responsibility of providing for somebody that you care very deeply about, or, but to me, I feel like there is a benefit that comes from that, Sag. Like when we have, I'm interested to see the other outside influence before I say something, but when you've got so many major arcana surrounding you amidst this 8 of Pentacles, This feels like this is also a significant month for you guys, or there's definitely powers or energies at work around you, both internally from the spirit and soul and from your past experiences, that are influencing you in profound ways, that is promoting, how do I want to say this opportunity for you to move forward in a very good way. Is kind of the vibe that I'm getting from these cards. All right, so okay, I'll take it. This is not major arcana, but it's still a very good card. This is the Ten of Pentacles. Tens always represent, again, completion of cycles, similar to the world in a much bigger scale, at a much bigger scale. But this Ten of Pentacles is this idea of being able to not only sort of provide for oneself, but provide for everybody around us too. It is that opportunity. And when we have the Ten of Pentacles coupled with that earthy Venus love Empress card on the other side, to me, November feels like a very productive month for my Sages, right? Especially with that Eight of Pentacles in the center. Whatever it is that we want materially, we should really pay attention to, because it feels as though, as I'm looking at these cards, the offer's on the table, babes. Like, you guys can make it happen if you want, right? If you take responsibility and take that action, which Sag, being a fire sign, you guys are about the action. Whatever it is you're doing now, it's really, to me, it feels like the outside influences want to help you to pay you off, or not pay you off, but you know what I mean? To help you along materially at a very, I would say, grand level. Because to me, that Empress adds that extra touch of not only is it material and earthy, but it's also sort of love and birthy. And if some of us are lucky, maybe it'll be a little girthy. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. But Sages, you guys, this feels like this is a banner month if you're willing to make the changes and close the doors or move to the new chapters that are approaching, right? And I have a feeling you may be willing to. It's just that Eight of Pentacles feels like you might have to do it in a little bit slow, methodical, paying attention to detail manner. All right, so this is the potential outcomes card for my Sages. Now, this card is potential in the sense that this is sort of where everybody will end up naturally, barring that nothing major changes, right? So it's not set in stone. If this card is a negative card, we can look at it as a warning and make choices and changes through free will to affect this outcome, right? And to avoid this card coming to pass. But if it's a positive card, we can take heart in the fact that we're sort of naturally flowing towards it and just sort of allow it to come about if it's something that we want to experience by month's end. Wow, okay, so we ain't fucking around. So this, excuse my language, this is the Judgment card. Interesting. Again, major arcana, big ending to the month. Judgment to me speaks to the truth coming out, the reality of that truth, being empowered. Again, when I think about the Judgment card, I look at this, take responsibility for your actions, Sag. There's something very, I'm going to say this. I feel like my Sages are going to get released from something. The truth will come out in regards to something by the end of November. For some of you, for those of you that might be involved in legal situations or discrepancies, court cases, things like that, Judgment can bode well in that regard. The truth is sort of on your side, Sag. That's kind of the feeling that I get when I look at all of these cards together, especially, you know, we have that Ten of Pentacles and the Empress there. Anybody that's fighting with like sort of financial situations or anything like that, I feel like there could be a potential for a windfall or an opportunity here. And Judgment also speaks to that, right? Judgment speaks to the idea of kind of everything sort of making sense by the month's end, everything sort of coming to a clearer understanding. You know, as far as the closing of the doors that we see in the world, right? Judgment is card number 20, the world is 21. So if our spirit's asking us to kind of move on or, you know, sort of put an end to certain things, and an ending doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, right? But I feel like the end of this judgment, or where this judgment comes in at the end of the month, it sort of releases us or allows us to be true to who we are. And again, that's also that taking responsibility for our actions. We're being adult about it, or we're being, you know, we're doing the best that we know how. Does that make sense? And from doing that, I feel like that Ten of Pentacles and that Empress, they're benefiting us, or they're coming in and blessing us in some way, shape, or form. and that you're going to have to figure out what that way, shape, or form is for each and every Sag. But whatever it is, it looks like it could be new ideas, it could be not only financial benefit, that would be in the Ten of Pentacles, but also, you know, the Empress can represent sort of new ideas, fertility in the sense of like maybe new business opportunities or side hustles that we're coming up with, right? These things will come into us, I feel like, if we do the work through that Eight of Pentacles. The Judgment card speaks to this idea of being really clear on who and like sort of what we want to interact with, what we want to deal with, what we want to allow in, right? We've dealt with a fair bit of like sort of, I want to say, malarkey with that Tower card in the past, right? And it's also the reminder of that like sets us up to want to be able to sort of set up something that's more stable, more concrete than maybe what has fallen apart for us in the past, be it through relationships or careers or whatever. And that also keys back to that taking responsibility for your actions. Overall, I think the month of November for most of my Sagittarius is going to be very beneficial, very practical, very well measured, paying a lot of attention to detail throughout the month. But as you do that, you're also like taking accurate action and able to take responsibility for that action and reap the benefits of said responsibility, allowing you to walk away from past tragedies and enabling you to open doors or new chapters to things that are more in line with who you truly are or what you truly desire. I hope that makes sense, Sag. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please, if you did, hit the thumbs up button over on my YouTube channel. Please share it out with all of your friends. Support the YouTube channel by hitting subscribe. For those of you that watch on Facebook, please go over and subscribe to my YouTube channel and share the video out from there. And I look forward to seeing you guys next month for December's forecasts. I believe we will be in Sag season, won't we? I think that will be Sag season coming up. So that's exciting. So we'll see how this plays out. It seems like October, I remember you guys had a really good reading too. So I feel like, you know, if you keep on this flow, Sag, and I also feel like too, I gotta say this, with this World card and the Judgment card at the end of the month, coupled with the Empress and the Ten of Pentacles sort of as the outside influences, something's coming. I just feel like when I look at these cards and I think about, I can't remember the specifics of last reading, I just remember it being really impactful. Like, you guys ended out on a very good note or something. I think it was like the Ace of Wands, which is very much Sagittarian energy. There's opportunities. Like, you guys have stuff working in the background that you may not even realize yet. That's the Eight of Pentacles. Like, to me, the Eight of Pentacles is this methodical, step by step, but the 10 sitting out there and the Empress sitting out there, they're wanting to bless you. They're wanting to bring in, you know, love, financial abundance, that sort of thing, fertility, new ideas, rebirth, all of that. And that World card up in the higher self speaks to that also, that idea of, come on, let's do this. Let's take on the world. So have faith, Sagittarians. Know that, you know, it's all good, and I look forward to seeing you guys next month. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back in a little moment to do Aries and then Leo today. And then tomorrow will be the next group of signs by element. Again, thank you for supporting the channel, and have a great day and month, you guys. Bye-bye.